The Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Planted with Sara Payan podcast. I'm Sara Payan, your host, and we are recording live on location at MJBizcon. We are in the podcast bus, and I have a very special guest today. I have Melanie Wenzel, straight up from down under, author of the Cannabis Queens book, and she's doing a lot of really interesting things in Australia. So I'm really excited to share with you this lovely lady. Welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This has been on my bucket list for quite a while now. So you've made my dreams come true today.
So tell me about the book. Now, I know about the book, but our listeners may not. And I want to know about the book and also what got you to decide to do it, because it's awesome. And for those of you out there, pick the book up. It's a beautiful, beautiful edition. I just checked it out.
So thank you for those kind words. That's very high praise coming from you. Look, the book is really special because women in cannabis deserve to have their stories told. And there's a lack of effective representation in the media and also in the general kind of cultural zeitgeist around cannabis and what it is to be a woman in cannabis. So really the theme of the book is representation, but it's so much deeper than that. So many themes have come out and come through. So I did nearly 300 hours of interviews to write the book. So I've done 4 months of research, 3 months of writing, 2 months of editing, and then kind of 1 month of print management. But in those 4 months, I did a global survey and I interviewed, the survey, I got 212 in-depth responses from women in the industry all over the world. And then I went on to do the interviews and did nearly 300 hours. And then it's been such a gift to curate all of those incredible stories and those incredible opinions and thoughts, into something really special. So yeah, it's been an honor. And how I came to it was, I'm just going to, take you straight to it. I was called to do it. I was called to do it by the plant, by the universe. It was a download for me. When I was really searching myself, I had my cannabis crisis of confidence that some people, I think we all go through, right? And during that time, I asked myself, what brings me joy? What do I love about this industry? And how do I add value? And I came to it. I was like, it's the women and the stories. So let me be the keeper of those. And so many amazing women trusted me. So yeah, that's Cannabis Queens.
That's awesome. Well, in addition to doing the book, in the process, because I've been watching, you've also, along with Women Empowered in Cannabis, who I know that, you're closely affiliated with as well. It's like you have helped create this community of women from all over the world, because before it, we had female communities in cannabis, but they were largely in the areas, the regions where they were living. And now all these women are talking to one another and spending time together, because I'm seeing all these great pictures from MJBizcon about everybody converging and seeing each other for the first time.
It's so exciting. It's so exciting. Yeah, I think community is the key, right? And I talk about in the book the importance of these localized women's groups. And I really shout out, in particular in the US, the state-based organizations. One of my favorites is We Are Jane. They have just, they've had incredible leadership for a long time. They've just got a brand new leadership team in. It's so fresh, so exciting, but it is in one state, and because we're blessed / cursed to be in the age, the spirit of what up and the operations of actually connecting and building a community globally, that's really challenging. So yeah, but I've pulled together the women in my book, and I guess for me, where I see the greatest potential is in connecting all of those groups. Yeah. So I say in Empower, Cannabis Queens is not a competing community to Empower Cannabis Society by any means. And actually what I said was it's just a big love fest with all the girlies.
Yeah, it dovetails really well.
So nice, because what I'm doing with Cannabis Queens is talking about our stories. I'm trying to raise people's Empower Cannabis Society, which we are both in together, run by a great leadership team. And I've got to shout out Heidi Whitman. She just won the Social Impact Award in the UK for her leadership of Empower.
Right on.
I think there's like 700 members now, coming up on 800.
There's a lot of us.
It's wild.
Yeah.
That's power, right?
It is. It is. And it's like, just seeing people collaborating and talking and sharing knowledge is so beautiful because it's all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And there is something for everyone.
Do you know, I love that you just said that, because that's actually one of the quotes of yours I've used in the book. When we talk about women entering the industry, you say in there, it's all hands on deck. So that for me is such a special thing to hear straight from your mouth today.
Thank you.
Because I think it's so true. And I think you have a better understanding of that than most people, you know?
Well, when I started, there weren't a lot of women.
Yeah.
You know, but the one thing I'll say is during the medicinal times in cannabis, we didn't have as many women, but we had a lot more women that were in leadership. And I feel like the work that's being done with all the coalition building with these women, we're getting back.
Yeah.
And we're starting to lead, and we're starting to see business through our lens, and we're starting to change this culture for the better. And, you know, one thing that I think our listeners should know too is that not only are you an author, but you're also in the healthcare industry. You're a professional in healthcare. What are you seeing in Australia? What are you excited about, and what are you looking forward to as far as shift and change?
Great question. So my day job is my title, my day today, how I pay the bills is because you don't as an author, but my day,
Truth.
So, FYI everyone. But my day job, my work that I do, my operational work that I do is as a healthcare strategy and programs lead for a cannabis company, and effectively what that role is, it's to be the conduit, because I am someone who speaks both languages, cannabis and healthcare. And I guess if I were to distill my responsibility there, it's to socialize cannabis and medicinal, because we are only medicinal in Australia. We've got a medicinal market only. We're 8 years in. Look, it's a super interesting market. We have a long way to go. It's pretty tumultuous at the moment. We've got, you know, patients seeking more than ever to try and explore their curiosity around cannabis as a medicine. And we've got regulators who can see the industry growing and who are fearful that it will go in the wrong direction. And I'm not going to lie, some people are taking it in the wrong direction. Other people are utilizing the medicinal pathways to access for what they believe is recreational use. Let's be honest, it's self-medicating. For me personally, and I speak freely about this, I actually don't have a problem with people who don't have a severe medical condition still utilizing medical pathways, because A, it's safer than buying drugs behind a bowling alley, right?
Right.
It's safer for women because, you know, prior to legalization of cannabis, as young women, many of us who have explored cannabis have always had to go jump in the car with the drug dealer or whatever it is. It's not safe to access a plant that we have had for tens of thousands of years, you know?
Right.
So what's happening is we see our medical market is complicated by that. So for me personally, I'd love to see an adult use market. And I think we will get there in Australia in maybe 5 years. I've been saying 5 years for the past 2 years. That yardstick keeps moving.
You sound like how we talk about.
When we do that, what will happen is our more rec focus, our adult use consumers, connoisseurs, will draw out into that market, and they can be serviced in a retail space. And our true medical patients who really seek that guidance, who really want that articulated health pathway, health and wellness pathway, will be able to access that. So for me, long term, I absolutely see that as the best outcome. But yeah, it's so interesting. So being a healthcare strategist for a cannabis company, you know, a lot of my job is putting up the guardrails and saying, well, in healthcare, best practice is, what about this care pathway? How do we do patient education in a way that's really compliant? And it's a lot of stakeholder engagement as well, trying to stop older, and I'm going to call it older white male doctors who make up a large population of the GPs or primary care physicians in Australia, to make cannabis seem less scary.
Yeah.
You know?
I totally get that, because when I was starting here, it was, you know, we'd have patients with recommendations and it'd be very hard to verify, because the physicians sometimes are very nervous about verification, and some were worried about writing. Conversation is normalization.
Yes.
And so, like with, you know, the work that I've done with physicians is starting that conversation too, so that, you know, they're not afraid. But I think a big part of it is having that educational information ready because, physicians have their specializations. They can't be cannabis experts too.
No, of course.
But they need to know what you're using and be able to have the conversation. And just going back a little bit to recreational access through medical, I think, you're right. Everybody is looking, they're self-medicating, but it's that human drive for homeostasis. I have to admit, I'm one of those people that thinks that just about, unless you have from a harm reduction standpoint, an unhealthy relationship with cannabis, I feel like it's all therapeutic because we are trying to create that balance.
Yep.
And I know some people would say, no, Sarah, there is rec and there's not. And yes, but I think a majority of us are using it to create that balance in our life. And you don't have to be critically ill. When I got my card, it was because I had cancer, and that's when I felt like that was when I needed it. But when I was done with my treatment, I found that some of the pharmaceuticals that I was using every day to help create balance, I no longer needed to use. So they may not have been the emergencies like my colon cancer, but I'm also not putting in a lot of things in my body that could have harmful long-term side effects. I'm not using medications to help me sleep. I'm not using medications to help with my anxiety because I'm CBG all day, every day. But it's, I'm so excited to see what's going to happen in Australia, because the last time I had a conversation about this, it was with Reese Cohen. And
legend.
Isn't he?
Shout out Reese. What a star.
Oh, he's wonderful. He came to visit us in San Francisco.
So cool.
Yeah. And you guys didn't have anything yet. So I was like, all right, I'm waiting. I love to see it. And also, with our different cultures, it's like we may speak the same language, but just like in the States where all the states are different cultures, we have different cultures too. And that's how all of your policy, I wish policy was more dictated on fact, but the fact is it's still stigma and culture that really drive a lot of it.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that's why, Australia as a nation is not especially conservative. It's certainly not the most conservative, but there definitely is a sense of that in some states within Australia, right? So there's that as well. And because policy in Australia around cannabis is federal, but we also have articulated state laws, for example, our driving laws. It's a big job to create transformation and healthcare transformation, policy transformation. It is crazy. It's a crazy amount of work. So we have to chip away at it. And I agree. I think that there is still such a strong amount of stigma, but also shame. And I'm very particular about it's a thought or a feeling that someone else has. It doesn't come from within us. But what it does is it triggers shame within us, right? So I think there's stigma that exists. I also think there's shame that exists. The shame exists because we're told weed is bad. The stigma exists because we're told people who consume cannabis is obviously the appropriate language, but for this conversation, people who smoke weed are lazy stoners. That all still exists. And that is why only 5% of doctors in Australia who can prescribe cannabis prescribe it after 8 years of medical legalization.
Wow.
It's such a small amount, and it just takes so much work. And I mean, once someone's in there, once they see, you can't unsee cannabis work for someone.
Right.
You cannot unsee it.
That's the biggest thing. The stories are so very important. I am so happy that you joined me today. We have more conversations to do.
Amazing.
But for people who want to follow you on social media, buy the book, contact you, how do they do that? cannabisqueens.world is pretty much the handle for all of it. So the website, www.cannabisqueens.world. The Instagram is the same. And from there, you'll find your way to me. I'm also on LinkedIn if you want to connect professionally and have a conversation. Then find me, Melanie Wenzel, on LinkedIn. Thank you so much. And it is so darn good to see you.
And you, my love. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we're back recording live at MJBizcon in the broadcast bus. This is the Planted with Sara Payan podcast. I am Sara Payan, your host. And today I have my friend and colleague Scott Vasterling on the show. He is the founder of Humboldt Family Farms, and we work together on the California Advisory Committee for cannabis. So he is the chair and I am the vice chair, and I'm so happy to be doing good work with you this year, but we'll get into more of that in another conversation. Today, we are going to talk about the farm, and he's got some beautiful pre-rolls here as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's great to see you in person.
Oh, it's so great to see you in person. We've been Zooming it for a minute.
Yeah, we've been crossing paths for a while, but it's nice to actually sit down next to you and here at MJBiz in Las Vegas.
Yeah. So what do you have there?
Yeah, so we do some fun different products, some multi-generational farms, locale certified farms. Incredibly proud of our farming community up there. And so the one, there's levels of collaboration, and that's one of the nice things that has kind of come out of Prop 64 is kind of coming out from behind that green curtain a little bit and starting to know and collaborate with partners. And so this first one is what we call the true OGs. And so what we did is I took Amy Newcomb as one of our farmers out of Willow Creek, and we took one of her favorite OGs, and then Nick with Full Moon Farms, you guys know very well.
Oh, I love me some Nick.
And so I took 550 OG blend, and so we call it the True OGs. That one's been incredibly popular, big, heavy, gassy. I'll leave that here.
Nice.
And then the second one is a Pure Blue Dream. It's still to this day one of the most popular strains on the market, and we've had this strain on the farm, this particular pheno, for over 15 years. We got out of Santa Cruz, and that is just one of the fan favorites that we've been running. We are in the process. We had Johnny down at Fire King ran some pure. I like the hash infused, but the pure strain hash infused pre-rolls. And so we're doing one right now with the Blue Dream.
Oh, nice.
And we have another one going with the Maui Wowie that I'm looking forward to sharing with you all as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm a huge fan of the hash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Johnny does an incredible job with his hash.
He sure does.
And then also leaning into the pure strain, we're keeping those cannabinoids and terpenes the same through the hash and the flower. It just makes for a really enjoyable product.
It does. And it's no wonder that Blue Dream is still so popular, because it is a perfect anytime smoke, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Blue Dream is certainly one of my favorites. And the Maui Wowie, has been my favorite for a long time as well. A little Maui in the morning with my cup of coffee.
And showing OCal to our consumers. So will you explain to them why that's important?
Sure. Well, the OCal certification is the state of California has allowed us to call certain certifications organic. Unfortunately, the USDA through the federal organic certification is not available to us as it's still considered a Schedule 1 drug. And so the state has come up with a program. Amy Newcomb is one of our OCal farmers, as well as Wes over at True Mom and Pop. We do some of his products as well. And it's just a standard of organics and commitment to the environment and the cultivation techniques that they use in a regenerative way that is very wholesome and pure and clean, the same way that you would shop for your organic apples or peaches or tomatoes.
Yeah, I love what you're doing and all the farms that you're working with. I mean, it really goes back to the foundation of what we're here for, working together as a community to bring out fine flowers for people. And just the farmers that you work with are such stewards of the land. I get so excited to hear about it. How many farms do you work with?
We're currently working with about 5 farms
Nice.
on a variety of different products. We a lot of these farmers we knew. We owned the Beachcomber Cafe up in Trinidad and in Bayside for many years, and so we were curating from these amazing farmers like Amy as one example, who are also growing a variety of different food products. And now it's a lot of fun to curate their cannabis products and kind of create a menu in that way also. So currently 5 farms. We've got Amaranth Farms and Full Moon Farms. We did a fun collaboration with Tina over at Moonmade Farms.
I love Tina.
So I like collaborations. Wes at True Mom and Pop, and of course Amy Newcomb. And then my family has a small farm as well. It's 5,000 square feet. My family does everything start to finish on that farm. And we run only a couple genetics, but these are genetics we've had on the farm for many, many years. And so they're some of our favorites. We ran a little bit of Trainwreck this year, which we're dropping in a nice private reserve for a couple of our retailers. I'm excited to share that one as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, when I visited Nick, I went up on the hill, and that is a gorgeous place.
It is.
It's like heaven.
Yeah.
And your roads aren't bad either, which is like a huge plus.
Yeah, it's 7 miles down a dirt road, and it can get a little bit tricky during the winter months. Like right now, they're doing a logging project, and it's quite a bit of ruts, but that's why we got 4-wheel drive trucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so we're here in Vegas, and we're seeing like a lot of people who are in more of the ancillary brands. But as a farmer coming here, what are you hoping to do? What have been your impressions this year? What are you excited about?
I've seen a lot of people are really hopeful for the future. I think that cannabis every single day continues to become more and more normalized.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people are seeing different ways that they can integrate it into their daily lives. I love coming here and seeing a lot of our vendors, and a lot of people, I see a lot of people from Humboldt here that I don't even see back in Humboldt. But we, a lot of the people that we get our packaging from, labels, a whole variety of things. With Grove Bags is one of our suppliers. I love their technology with that 6-layer system that keeps the terps and the moisture content the same. And of course, Sana with our tubes and jars. So it's fun to come out and see them face to face and kind of get, kind of wrap up our projections for the next year.
That's cool.
Yeah, and of course the parties are great too. I mean, it is a social event, and there's all this happening. I certainly encourage everybody to come out here and check out all these wonderful vendors. But some of the parties and some of the events that happen, Chandelier Bar, that's always
where
a
all the
happening.
action
It's
is.
always a happening spot. Yep.
It's so true. I heard somebody referring to it as pot prom the other day.
That's a really good explanation of it. Yeah, it is
really
very
is.
glitzy and expensive cocktails. It's
I
true.
know.
Right.
Week. There are too many things to go to.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So what's going on in the coming year? What are you excited about? What are you working on?
I think just kind of continuing to lean into some of these collaborations, like I was saying, these collaborative joints where you're taking like certain products. And I think that that's one of the things that has been a lot of fun because, we know how long it takes to create genetics, right? So 2 to 3 years by the time you pheno-hunt them and get it all the way through the seed production. Or in about 30 seconds on the farm in my grinder, I can grind up 2 different strains and I can create a new strain, new terpene profile, and a new experience. And so doing some of these intentional 2 different farmers, we're really looking for creating positive experiences with our pre-rolls and some of those blends,
Mm-hmm.
and using some of those classic old school genetics. Like we have a Blue Dream Maui Wowie 50-50 blend.
I love that.
And that's, again, one of my favorite blends, and that has been really popular. So I think continuing to explore how we kind of accelerate the ability to create those blends for those experiences without having to wait 2-3 years to see whether or not the strain is actually worth growing in the long run.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
especially if you have something that's an interesting cultivar but might not have a really high yield, you could use it for one.
Gs are typically lower yielders, big flavor profiles. A lot of the terpenes also. I think the pre-roll and market is there's a lot of opportunity there for the average terpene profile percentage of pre-rolls on the market. I've heard is less than 0.5%. And so when you put full flower regenerative cannabis, sun-grown cannabis that's hitting 2 to 3% terpenes in these pre-rolls, like people, I always encourage people to take a dry hit before they actually light it.
Yeah.
Because you can taste the quality real quick from brand to brand. And I'm incredibly proud of the farmers' quality of product that they allow me to put into these pre-rolls and into our flower products.
Yeah, it's the 15 days. Like we used to joke that back in the day when it was, shake and trim that was going in there, we'd call them the hot dogs of cannabis.
Right?
This is not that by any stretch of the imagination. This is like, if you're curious about a particular cultivar, it's a great way to explore it.
Sure.
I
Sure.
love that.
And there's a lot, and the 12 Days of Christmas that we just saw from Judy and that whole crew up there in Humboldt and the Emerald Triangle. I mean, the quality.
Bag.
Yeah, right. So I think that, continuing to lean into, elevating the quality of products on the market and innovating how we can best do that and provide positive experience for people, not just the highest THC percentage.
Yeah.
It's about how does this work within your own system and how are you utilizing it, in your day-to-day life that enhances and encourages positivity.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love what you're doing with your model with Humboldt Family Farms because, as we've talked about before, our industry, there's a lot of challenges, and there's a lot of challenges for the small farmer. Mm-hmm. So community and collaboration, it's always been important, but even more so now. And it's how we figure out getting through these challenges and creating a new structure for how we do our work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sharing those stories with the consumers, and because it takes the consumer support that then gets the retail support, and then allows us the ability to provide these products that we love and have been using for many generations up in Humboldt, and share that with the world.
Yeah, creating that excitement because, listeners, you've heard me say this before. If you have not tried good artisan sun-grown cannabis, you are missing out, because I know there are some of you listening in other states that don't have access to it, but come visit us in California and try these, because there is nothing like the sun. So for people who want to follow you on social media, see your brands, be able to purchase, and remember, vote with your wallet, how do they do that?
So we're on Instagram at Humboldt Family Farms. You got to type it all in. Meta likes to pull up our backup account. Seen a lot of challenges recently with that, but yeah, no, at Humboldt Family Farms. Also, you can go to our website, and we're very transparent with all of our partners, and so you can read all about the different farming partners that we have and our suppliers. I'm incredibly proud of the farmers that we're working with, and I'm looking forward to a really good 2025.
So am I. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It's so good to see you. It's so good
too.
to see you in person. And I'm looking forward to having an even longer conversation where we get into all of that and some of the policy work that you and I are going to do this year.
Me too. Yeah, we got big things ahead.
Big things.
Yeah, great to see you.
Great to see you too. Right. Give the gift that everyone will remember this holiday season, the 12 J's of Christmas gift box. This limited edition collection features 12 premium pre-rolls from 12 sun-grown farms in Humboldt, Mendocino, and Trinity counties. It's the ultimate gift for craft cannabis lovers and a way to support small farmers in the Emerald Triangle. Hurry, quantities are limited. Reserve yours now at emeraldtrianglecraft.com. And we are back. Hi, everyone. This is Sara Pion. You are on the Sara Pion podcast, and we are live at MJBizcon. And I have a very special guest. I have Judy Nelson from Soul Spirit Farms, and we are talking about a wonderful project called The 12.
Glad to see you too. Than where we saw each other last.
Totally. Yeah, that was more peaceful.
Yes.
But this is fun too.
This is also fun.
So let's talk about this, because I am so excited about this project, all the farmers involved, and just how it supports everything that you guys do.
Yeah, it's been a labor of love, but really fun too. I think that if you could think of it like, if you go to like a harvest celebration with all your farmer friends and everybody busts out their harvest and you get in a circle and there's, a million different joints of everybody's fresh harvest going around. We just thought that we could collectively bring that sort of thing like out to people and they could enjoy gifting it to their friends and family.
I love that. It's like a mini Christmas advent calendar. With things better than chocolate.
Way better than chocolate.
So what are some of the farms that are involved?
Okay, well, so that Good from Mendocino. We've got Most Wanted or Hogwash Farms there, Southern Humboldt. Mendocino Natural Farms from Covelo. Moon Maid from Southern Humboldt. Soul Spirit, my farm, Trinity County. Then we've got Redwood Roots. They're also Southern Humboldt. Bigfoot Cannabis Company, that's my local Willow Creek friends. Arcana from Mendocino. Farm Cut, is a collective, and this particular flower is from Emerald Spirit Botanicals.
Oh, right on.
Yep, they're also a Mendo farm. And then Nasha's pre-roll is actually a collab, essentially, of 3 different producers. So you have flower from Alpenglow Farms. The hash is made from flower from Atoll Valley Sungrown, and then Nasha is a small hash maker, and they made the hash. So that one's super special. And then we've got also Talking Trees, who's another Willow Creek friend, and then Humboldt Nation, Southern Humboldt. So
that's awesome. They're all exciting, but I have to say, as somebody who loves her hash, the Nasha one I find particularly exciting, but it's nice to see all of our friends on there being represented. So for people who are purchasing this, where are the proceeds going?
Okay, so the way that you purchase the boxes, you go onto our website, emeraldtrianglecraft.com. And the first thing you're going to do is make a $40 donation to the Humboldt County Growers Alliance. This also benefits the Trinity County Agriculture Alliance and the Mendocino Cannabis Alliance. HCGA just happens to be who's taking in the money and then distributing it out. Natalie has been an amazing partner. We could definitely not have pulled this off without her. But so you make this $40 donation, and then that gives you access to purchase the box for $60 plus tax, either at one of our craft fair events. We have one in LA on the 20th of December, San Francisco on the 12th, and Richmond on the 15th. And then our local Humboldt craft fair is actually this coming Saturday at Crisp Lounge in Eureka. And there's a few retailers who will have some of the boxes too, but it's super selective group of retailers, because essentially they are doing it as a donation to us. They're not taking any profit out of facilitating the sale for us. So yeah, it's a special group. So that's the Higher Path in Sherman Oaks, Cornerstone in LA, Bigfoot Cannabis Company, and Satori, which is actually Talking Trees, their connected retail. So those two local ones, Humboldt Urban Market, and then Red Door Remedies in Cloverdale. And then Seven Stars isn't carrying the boxes in Richmond, but their next door consumption space is going to be our location that people can come and get their box in the East Bay.
That's awesome, because
Yeah.
I love me some Z.
I love me some Z too, and he's always up to support,
Yeah,
so
he sure is. He's very
we love
community
that.
focused. I love the fact of how community focused all of this is. People are showing up to support. For those of you listening, if you have not tried sun-grown cannabis, this is your opportunity to try some beautiful J's from some fine artisan farmers, and you should pick this up. Support your local farmer. I'm so excited to unbox this with you and take a look at it. Anything else that you want to add?
Well, I realized that I just forgot all about Sacramento. And that's super important, because in Sacramento, it's a little bit different, because we're just trying to be like flexible and creative in how we can get these out to the people. And so in Sacramento, we're actually going to be doing home delivery. So we have a delivery partner, Zen Life Organics in Sacramento, and they're an awesome delivery service. They're new, but their whole deal is bringing small craft farms products to Sacramento. So shout out to Wade and Mary at Zen Life Organics. They are, again, like, they're doing these deliveries for us as a donation to our cause. So we want to really, and support them, because, you want to support retailers who care about you and care about where the weed that they're selling you came from, and know where the weed that they're selling you came from, So if you can't get it from a farmer, then make sure that the retailer that you're getting it from knows what's up.
That's right. Vote with your wallet. We are going through some very challenging times in the California market, and the only way that we're going to make it through is by talking about this, having the community work together to get this out.
Yeah.
And for those of you out there, supporting your local farmers. If you love sun-grown, don't miss out on this. If you have not tried fine sun-grown, you need to get this. You will be missing out. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next year with this too, because this is just gorgeous.
Thank you. We got this together really quick, so I'm excited to see what we can do with a lot more time to plan next year.
I'm going to call you Weed MacGyver.
Hey, they say where there's a will, there's a way. And I have a lot of will, because I just am we have amazing weed, and it's so unfortunate how challenging it is for people to discover it.
Yeah.
And so I just am focused on navigating some pathway to make sure that we can get to consumers who are interested in what we're doing, even if they might not even know yet.
Right.
That this is what they like. So, and then like you said, you would get 12 different brands that you get to try all at one time. And I would say there are very few dispensaries in California that you could find this many different craft brands in the same place at the same time. So
That's right. So for people who want to check it out on social media, where can they go?
okay, on social media, it's at Emerald LinkedIn page, although it's not very active. It's been, again, next year we'll get more on that. And then the website is emeraldtrianglecraft.com.
Right on. And also follow all the farmers. Follow all the farmers and ask for them in your local dispensaries. Thank you so much, Judy. Always
Thanks,
so good
Sara.
to see you. And we're back. Planted with Sara Payan is live on site at MJBizcon in the broadcast bus. And I have Nick Sclafani, Director of Sales of Vitae. And you should see this beautiful bong that is sitting in front of me. Nick, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Sara. It's a pleasure. Yes, the beautiful glass on the table, as we say.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this. When I first saw it, because it was so tall, I'm thinking, and I told you before we got on air that I'm a little anal retentive with cleaning my bongs. It looks like it'd be bare to clean, but then you notice that it's modular, and you were telling me about that. Tell me about the glass, tell me about the company, and tell me how you keep this thing so darn clean.
Okay, well, it's simple. It's functionality. With Vitae, you can take it apart. As you can see, this is the walnut the walnut silicone rings that keep it all together. It's the way that we keep our modular pieces sturdy. We've all smoked the ones in the past that had the plastic clips, and it feels like a glass snake and it could fall at any time.
Yeah.
With this thing, as you already felt, this is super solid. You can grab it anywhere on the piece top, you can grab it at the bottom, and you feel like you're smoking a single piece of glass.
Yeah, and that's a solid base too.
Absolutely. And our glass varies from 20 millimeters thick to 5 millimeters thick at certain points in the unit. And then, as you were mentioning, as far as cleaning it goes, and I'll do it really quick for you guys, it is absolutely nothing to give this a quick twist. And then, of course, you've got stoppers that come with it as well, so this becomes closed. Little rubbing alcohol and salt, a quick rinse, and the borosilicate glass that's lab quality that we use rinses clean, and it doesn't hold residue. It's very high quality glass, and then before you know it, you're right back into a sesh with your bong fixed up and clean. And so it's very easy. I know a lot of people out there with multi-chamber bongs remember having to swish the alcohol just the right angle to get it perfectly clean, and it never really worked because there was always those corners that you weren't able to get to. Vitae makes it super easy to keep your glass, very, very fresh, almost brand new, dare I say, without anybody knowing.
Yeah, because usually when I see perks, I get nervous.
Right. No, that's not an issue with us. This thing's been getting used all over BizCon. It's been a huge hit. People are in love with the size and the detail. Everything is laser cut, and you just can't find, in my opinion, a better modular bong. And with all the customizations that we offer online, you truly do feel like you're getting a one-of-a-kind piece, because it's whatever you want to make it. It's whatever your smoking style is. We've got rigs coming out. Obviously, this can be broken down to a much smaller piece. Friends come over, you want to, show off a little bit, get the party started, you put in your other piece. Or if you're just chilling at home, you can break it down and just kind of have a couch piece as well. So the functionality is there, the quality is there. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's the most luxurious smoking apparatus that I've ever had. And I've had a lot in my day.
Yeah, same. It's very elegant. It's like something that it really encompasses, just how far we've come. Because with the normalization of cannabis and more people consuming, it's really nice to have something that you can have on your coffee table that's functional and beautiful. Because I used to keep mine under the sink.
Right. This really brings it out of, so to speak, the dark corner, the ugly vase that we all used to hide our bong behind.
Yeah.
And we can put this out on the table and be happy, whether we're sipping a glass of wine or we're barbecuing with friends. And it really is, it's a statement piece. It's beautiful glass. And let's face it, the other part of this modular design that's beautiful is if you're to mess up and you are to break a piece cleaning it, the whole thing isn't trash. You've only got one small piece to replace, or you've still got a functional piece if you can combine it down and smoke the short one until you get your favorite perk or your favorite ash catcher back on there. And so you're not just out and it's not a loss. You can build it back, so to speak, if there is a mishap. Another thing that just, I think, puts us in a different category and just sets us really apart from anything else in the industry, that in the modular glass and the modular bong unit for sure.
Where are you based out of?
the glass all comes from Colorado. I work with the North America territory, so I work out of Colorado. That's where I'm originally from and located. And our CEO is actually located in France. Gordon Loy, if you're listening, thanks, Gordon. And we're out here doing it for you, man.
Right on. What else would you like to share with our listeners?
Well, the most important thing, I think, aside from the great glass and the great value that we offer, is we offer a deal because we are very big on philanthropy. Every modular piece that you buy for your ultimate Build-A-Bong setup with Vitae equivocates to one plant, or one tree planted, excuse me.
Really?
And so this piece right here, this would be 5 trees planted in efforts to whether to replant a forest or to bolster a forest that's been selectively harvested. It's something that we feel very strong about, giving back to the environment. What better way than to not just give a tree for one bong, go one for one, but really make our efforts sound and really put our money where our mouth is and plant for every module that we sell. So, you're planting a small little forest one bong at a time with Vitae.
I love that, because one of the things that I have an issue with our industry is the fact that we are about wellness, balance, and the amount of waste that we have to work with right now in our industry. We have a lot of changes that need to happen. So to see you as a company doing this and giving back, and really, it's just so impactful. I love that. Thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you for feeling that way, because if we all adopt at least some type of effort like that, it doesn't have to be through Vitae. Vitae is a great way to do it, but if we can all adopt that kind of effort, I think we will make this community one that is reflective of really what it's all about, the plant, right? The earth.
Yeah.
And celebrating its value both medicinally and recreationally in a stylish way with Vitae glass, and by doing so, you're giving back. So it's something we're super proud of.
Yeah. Now, are these in retail locations?
They are. We're pushing towards retail locations. We're looking for distribution opportunities as well. I can be reached at nick@vitaeglass.com if you're interested in taking a look and getting some wholesale numbers from me personally. I'd be glad to work with anybody to customize their order, big or small. And we're really looking to push in 2025 on making Vitae Glass the household name for modular bongs.
Awesome. And getting into 2025, what are you excited about?
Well, I'm certainly excited for Vitae. I'm certainly excited for working with others underneath me and teaching the culture and teaching them about great glass. I'm also just thankful for health, family, abundance. There's been so much given my way through the CannaFam, meeting you through LinkedIn as well. It's just been an incredible experience, overwhelming at times, and I'm just thankful and looking forward to just providing that same support and same enthusiasm that I've been given.
Right on. And how's your BizCon been? What are you excited about here?
Oh gosh, BizCon. Well, it's almost over. I think that it's just been a whirlwind this year, from all the events and meeting all these great folks that I just mentioned, the CannaFam, some for the first time in person, others for, the 10th or the nth time, if you will. And, you can't be everywhere, but you just try to do your best, and you try to just take bits and pieces and just know that everybody here, all the opportunities that you get, they're important.
Yeah.
You don't ever take one for granted, because you never know who you're talking to after you make an introduction of yourself. So I just think be kind and keep passing along that energy. Everybody's BizCon will be great this year.
Yeah, I agree. It's been so nice.
Yeah.
It's been so nice meeting people in person like you,
Finally.
and also reunions with old CannaFam too.
Absolutely.
And for people who want to follow Vitae on social media, how do they do that?
Just look us straight up, VITAE. And then online at Vitae Glass, and I'm accessible via LinkedIn. I don't do any Instagram yet. Maybe that'll change. That's just only for other side projects. But we're accessible online. We're accessible through LinkedIn. You can get at me at nick@vitaeglass.com as well. And if there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to ask. I'm here to help. And so let's get Vitae out there for you, your customers, and most of all for the culture.
I love it. For those of you who are looking for a bong, and for me, a bong, smoking from glass is the best. You really do need to check Vitae out. And if my jaded ass is impressed, it's something. Thank you so much, Nick. It is so wonderful talking with you, and I'm looking forward to our future conversations.
My pleasure. We're going to work hard to get you guys some Vitae so you can enjoy it in your free time.
Oh, that's super exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it.
We'll get it together for you. No problem.
Thank you, my friend.
All right.
Are you looking for a lasting, meaningful way to connect with your audience and highlight your brand? Well, listen up, because Planted with Sara Payan is taking on new sponsors. Here's a powerful stat. 20% of listeners are more likely to support brands they hear about on a trusted podcast. And 60% actually look up that product after hearing about it. That's the power of podcasting. Planted with Sara Payan has a unique draw. With remarkable guests, we attract and engage audience that spans all sides of the cannabis spectrum. Picture your message reaching these listeners time and again. Podcast ads are evergreen, meaning your brand stays relevant as new audiences discover and binge past episodes. It's a long-term investment that keeps on giving. If you're looking for a targeted, passionate audience with lasting impact, the right listeners are here waiting to meet your brand. Visit plantedwithsara.com to get a copy of our sponsorship deck today.
Hello, everyone, and we're back. Planted with Sara Payan is broadcasting live at MJBizcon, and I got a special treat today. This person actually needs no introduction. Steve DeAngelo has come to join me. Steve, it is so good to see you.
And so great to be here, Sara. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, how many times have you been to MJBizcon? I mean, I know there's a lot.
Yeah, I lost count of Rainbow Gatherings, MJBizcons, and Grateful Dead shows some time ago, so I can't give you a precise number. But I can tell you that I was at the very first MJBizcon, which was, I believe, 24 exhibitors that was tagged on to another conference called the ArcView Conference, which was the conference that I was running back in those days.
Right on. So, the conversations then versus the conversations now, what are your impressions?
Well, the cadence of the conversations is very different. When cannabis people get together, there's this kind of certain cadence to the way that we're talking now, right?
Yeah.
And there's a rhythm of give and take and reflect and absorb, right? And that was how it was back in those days, right? We were all cannabis people. We were all in love with the plant. We were all passionate about the idea of creating a respected place in our society for the plant. And we were all cannabis consumers.
Yeah.
So we had that cadence. Now, and it's not just MJBiz, it's just about any large cannabis conference I go to. A lot of the cadence is different. It's like and it's like, that's not the way we talk to each other. It's this business cadence, right? Where people are pitching, and then somebody's asking questions about the pitch, and they're pitching back, and like the cadence gets higher the closer you get to a close, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? We wanted that to happen. We wanted the business world to accept cannabis and move it forward. But it's a difference.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I notice is just kind of the cadence, the language that's being used. And the mission has changed, right? Our mission back then was simple. It was to legalize cannabis. We haven't entirely done that in this country yet, but we've come a long, long way. And the result of that now is that there's a legal cannabis business. And so it's only natural that business have a cadence that's more of a business cadence. So for me, the most important thing when I look at cannabis these days is, the business part of it's great. We wanted that to happen. But the thing that really more and more people all around the world are consuming more and more cannabis, and they're doing it more freely. And that is an incredible thing. In Colorado now, more than 50% of all adults say that they've consumed cannabis in the last 30 days.
That's awesome. I just heard a report that just recently cannabis use surpassed alcohol use.
And tobacco use.
That's awesome.
And this is what we were really after when we started this movement to legalize cannabis. We didn't know about industrial cannabis. We didn't know about medical cannabis. We didn't know about all of the science that we know about now. But we did know that this plant helped us to be more able to be the people we really wanted to be. And we figured that if it did it for us, it would do us for other people. And if we were all becoming more like the people we really wanted to be, we would end up living in the world that would be more like the world we really wanted to live in. And so that's what it was all about. It's what it's still about.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I reflect back on the 215 days, because that's when I started, and of course, you know, you and your brother created the institution that is Harborside, and just the culture, the strong culture of community and wellness that came out of that, and the 215 days. I used to look at what we're doing as like how, you know, we're from NorCal. We saw how the tech industry influenced the way we work and go to work and show up, because now, you know, nobody's showing up in 3-piece suits unless they want to. You know, it's like more casual, and it's more about the work that you do rather than how you show up. Well, some professionality, but it's not as buttoned down as it used to be. And I used to think that cannabis had, and I still do, has this unique opportunity to create abundance and business with compassion and supporting communities. And as much as I have hope for that in the future, I kind of feel like we've taken some steps back around that. What are your thoughts around that?
Well, we collectively, and I include myself in this collective in California, made a terrible mistake as we moved to adult use legalization. A lot of us decided that we were going to take our small cannabis companies that were small, dynamic, energetic, run by people who love the plant, and we were going to grow them into very, very big cannabis companies that were going to change the whole world. And in order to do that, we had to open ourselves to investors, to people who, by definition, are not motivated by love of plant, they're motivated by love of money. And when we did that, the way that we did business had to change, and it did change. And I think that the plant now has really spoken to us, and she said that she does not want this kind of large scale. So if you look in Canada, where the statistics are very clear, only 20% of the cannabis that's been grown in the legal system in Canada since legalization has been sold in the legal market. 80% of it has either been destroyed or been warehoused because it didn't meet health or market standards.
Wow.
Wow. So all these 500,000 and million square foot grow rooms are not producing cannabis that anybody wants to consume. And, you know, I think that the plant is speaking to us. And she's saying, I didn't come to you to help you build pyramids. Right? I did not come to you to help you concentrate wealth or even build intergenerational wealth. It's a phrase we hear a lot.
Absolutely.
I came to you to help you spread prosperity and freedom more broadly. And in 215, we had an economy that we all created together. Everybody was taken care of. Growers could get a price for their weed that allowed them to buy the land that they were growing on and send their kids to school. Patients could come into dispensaries and get the best weed in the world, fresh and beautiful, right, for really affordable prices. And if they couldn't afford it, we gave it away to them for free, right? And people who worked in Harborside and other dispensaries had the best jobs that they'd ever had. I mean, at Harborside, we had a break room that had a vaporizer in it.
Yeah.
Right? And the only drug test we had was, you know, do you smoke enough weed?
And the people who work for you, coming from that strong culture, have gone on to do other really awesome things that have been impactful.
Yeah, I know. I mean, one of the really wonderful things to see now is the number of Harborside alumni who have just gone out and, really carried that cultural orientation through all sorts of other ventures.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we had this economy that really worked for everybody. And that's been really destroyed. And, in its place, we have a lot of people who are good at getting licenses and who are good at filing lawsuits, and they're just not very good at growing cannabis or selling it.
Well, and then, good luck, because friends don't let friends smoke mids.
You got it, right? In California and much of the rest of the country, the only people who go into licensed dispensaries are people from out of town who don't know how to find weed, people who have so much money they don't care how much money they spend, or people who are so clueless they don't know how to buy weed from their next door neighbors on either side of them.
What can we do to bring the heart back?
Well, I'm really excited about micro licenses now.
Yeah.
And around the country, I'm seeing more and more of our tribe of people who are just really exceptional growers who are getting these micro licenses. You're allowed to grow 3,000, 5,000 square feet, but you're allowed to sell direct to consumer. Right? And this is what I like, is cutting out the large scale, cutting out the distributors, and doing what we've always done. Right? We've always had pretty small farms that have grown really high quality weed and gotten it to the consumers in Massachusetts and in New York. And I think they're shining a new beacon of hope.
That's awesome. I think that D2C is where it's at. And also to turn people on to, a lot of people don't understand what good artisan grown cannabis is. I mean, you and I do, we've been immersed, but your average consumer, they may not know.
Well, this is where the big scale boys come in again, right? Because I've sat down and I've looked at their business plans, and they've said, "Oh, Steve, look at this. We can get 5 turns a year. We can get 6 turns a year. Look at all these dollars that are going to drop to the bottom line." And I'm sitting there, I'm shaking my head. No, you cannot grow good weed and have 5 turns a year. It's not possible. Nobody's going to want to smoke that weed. But Steve, that doesn't matter. They're all new adopters. They don't know what good weed is. But there's a little problem with that theory, right? Because new adopters become connoisseurs, right? You either like weed and you start smoking more of it and exploring other product formats, and in 2 or 3 months or 6 months, you learn about it.
Yeah.
And you don't accept mediocre weed anymore. Or you try weed and you don't like it and you don't become a connoisseur. But new adopters don't stay new adopters forever. They turn into something else. So more and more of my friends are abandoning the licensed market, both professionally and as consumers, and going back to an unregulated posture. And look, we survived that way for 50 or 60 years. We built a vibrant culture. We took the level of consumption of cannabis in 1963, there were only 3% of Americans that would admit to the Gallup poll that they smoked cannabis, right? And now that number, again, for lifetime cannabis use is over 50%. So we did that. We did that in the underground market. We did it without licensing. We did it without accountants. The only lawyers we had were criminal defense lawyers when we got busted. Imagine that. And if they overregulate and overtax this industry, to the degree that's happening now, we'll just go back to the hills again.
Yeah. And you've seen it all. You've been here through all of it. What are some of the most impactful things that you've learned through your experience in trial and error?
Well, look, the lesson that I learn over and over again is to listen to the lessons that this plant teaches us. She is a gentle teacher. She whispers in our ear. She guides us through experience. She doesn't clobber us over the head, but she teaches us important lessons about personal responsibility, about looking into ourselves, about making corrections when we need to, about being generous, about being reciprocal, Really important lessons that we should be carrying into all realms of our lives, into the way that we teach our children, into the way that we build our businesses, into the way that we interact in our communities. And we should be proud about that listening. The plants have been working on this for a lot longer than we have.
Truth.
They're in the driver's seat. We're just in the car trying to figure out where to go. So listen to the plant, love the plant, take the lesson seriously.
Thank you for spending time with me. It's so good to see you. And I'm looking for...
Before we leave, though,
yeah,
I do need to update you on a couple of new projects that I'm doing.
I would love to hear about it.
Because they're really exciting. So I'm working on a project called Real Roots Cruises. We're doing our premier inaugural voyage in January 2026. We'll be going from Tampa Bay, Florida to Montego Bay, Jamaica. We will have a 2-day festival at a Rastafari community there, where cannabis is completely legal for all uses, and we will have this really wonderful time on the high seas together for 7 days. So that's realrootscruises.com. Folks can learn more about that. And then on the cannabis tip, really excited to be getting back into actually handling cannabis again for the first time in a few years, launching a brand called Silver. And I'm 66 years old now. I've spent the past year and a half dealing with some pretty serious medical issues. So I'm kind of full into the senior experience, and it's affected the way that I consume cannabis, right? Like, I can't really smoke anymore because I've got a COPD diagnosis. I have to be careful about what I put into my stomach because my stomach is more sensitive these days. So we're going to be producing products that come out of our own experience. My brother Andrew is a partner in this brand with me. And the brand promises, if it doesn't work for us, then we're not going to sell it to you. And so that's under development right now. And we're sort of putting the word out to potential collaborators in the industry, anybody that idea resonates with. If you are a manufacturer or a cultivator or a retailer, any place in the country, seek us out. Let's talk.
That's awesome. And how can they find you?
They can find me at Steve DeAngelo, Steve at stevedeangelo.com, stevedeangelo.com, at steve.deangelo on Instagram, and Steve DeAngelo on LinkedIn. So
that's so awesome. I'm really excited to see how that goes. And will you take me on the cruise?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a cabin with your name on it.
Right on. Thank you so much. And we need to talk more about the brand in the future. I want to dig into that with you.
All right. Well, let's schedule another visit.
Right on.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
Great to be with you, Sara.
Oh, great to be with you, too. And we're back. Planted with Sara Payan is broadcasting live at MJBizcon as a media partner. We are in the broadcast bus in the North Hall. And I have my dear friend, Brian Applegarth here. Brian is the founder of the Cannabis Travel Association International, and he's also the creator and founder of the Cannabis Trail. And if you have not checked out the Cannabis Trail, you really need to. It is a very interesting jaunt at some of the most impactful places and some of the most beautiful. So, welcome, Brian. I always love talking with you.
Yeah, same. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So, how's your BizCon been?
It's been good. It's different this year. It's different every year, right? The last 6 years, it's been like, what? Yeah, it's changed a lot. But really interesting year, mostly because the travel world that I live in, with the cannabis appellations like becoming very real in 2025, with the January 1st cafe cannabis lounge bill, where food, drink, entertainment is now part of the experience landscape. It's kind of what I've been waiting for the last 11 years working in cannabis tourism, is this inflection point. So really exciting, very interesting year, and I feel that energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember, what was it, just a couple years ago, and we were talking about that, and you were mentioning the inflection point. Yep. Like, the way that you've started conversations around cannabis tourism is really important. And for those of you listening, the thing is with cannabis tourism, if you're traveling with someone, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone in your party has to be a cannabis consumer. There's a lot of experiences that can be taken in, that can be shared by somebody who is partaking and, you know, your travel companions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and it's akin to somebody who can go on a wine tour and appreciate beauty and vineyards and not drink alcohol, right?
Right.
So this is about culture and craft. This is about experiencing a destination and the essence of it. And there's destinations around the world where there are place of source regions, which is a common phrase in travel, where the craft of a certain ag product typically, or craft, permeates throughout the entire culture and the community. So the brain trust is strong, intellectual capital is strong. Therefore, all the storytelling strong, because it's this multi-generational kind of like knowledge that you get to tap into and feel and experience. And that's a culture thing. That's a like life experience thing.
Yeah. You've been doing a lot of work with non-cannabis travel consortiums. What are you seeing as far as their openness and their willingness to adopt? Because I mean, those are major dollars when we start drawing people in.
Yeah, I think it's you have two nexus of industry, right? So you have like the global travel economy, and then you have this cannabis and this hemp economy, which are kind of burgeoning and new. And there's negotiation happening of what is medical, what is rec, or what is medical travel, what is leisure travel in my world, and then all the groups, meetings, and conferences, just like MJBiz or ICBC Berlin, that bring significant economic impact through industry opportunity. So. What I'm getting at is the importance of cross-industry language, so we can actually communicate, and which is a really important work I feel to do, because you're helping create the conversation and find the middle ground where industries can work together. And the beautiful part about cannabis tourism today is that cannabis is inherently a travel trend grounded in wellness and well-being because of the nature of what the plant represents at the biological level, right? Balance, homeostasis, these kind of things. So being able to see how does that express itself in today's modern cannabis experience economy or tourism is really exciting. And it's also just really important that we represent the plant in the right way, and we make space and take the time so we can communicate effectively about all the capabilities of this plant, including the capability of hemp to clean soil and be a engine for regenerative models and sustainability. And that could come in the form of like disposable cutlery that's made from hemp instead of plastic, right? So really looking at what is the positive impact that hemp and cannabis can have, and how can we make sure we create the space and the cross-industry lexicon so we can communicate efficiently. Like in travel, smoking's super sensitive, right?
Right.
Destinations, like, it's a very taboo topic. It's hard to get any traction on it. You got to look at what are the detractors, what are the barriers, where is the common ground, most importantly, meet people where they're at, and then create strategy from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're setting it up for success, because I think, any reluctance that's coming out around it is just the lack of knowledge and the fear with the stigma.
Yeah, the stigma is a big one. Yeah, I mean, it's the best. The big one is the stigma. There's 3 detractors in travel that I have to overcome all the time, right? It's smoking, and it's the altered effects. Right? So you figure out, okay, how do I educate about the facts using case studies, history, and data? Because at the end of the day, the travel industry, what I learned through this process was you got to bring the data, show the audience, which is the cannabis travel audience. It's not the cannabis consumer audience. That's something the cannabis industry still needs to adopt in a bigger way and understand.
Yeah.
Because starting with the data, that's how you're going to have that language of communication, is being able to speak to their data sets. And that's just not about pushing product at high volume and bigger basket sizes. That's about visitation volume, heads and beds, and who is my cannabis experience partners that represent our destination brand. And that brand's probably not someone doing a bong rip, but it's probably grounded in wellness or nature or these beautiful complementary activities where the right kind of cannabis enhancement, if we're talking the THC molecule, can really amplify the experience because it's enhancing those senses and that presence and all these things that make cannabis so special. So let's give it the time and reverence and teach the travel industry how to understand the opportunity. But that goes 2 ways. Then the travel world shows that this wellness travel trend is going to keep just going, like arcing, right? And we happen to have a plant that completely embodies that principle.
Yeah.
So let's not screw it up. Let's just honor the plant. And if we ever lose our way, let's look back to that as kind of what's the compass, and let's keep, building it in that way.
Well, and jumping on to the honoring the plant,
right?
You created the Cannabis Trail, which for anybody who has not checked it out, you really should. There's so much to experience in this. But how did you curate that?
Yeah, I mean, it became so. I've traveled a lot, and I love culture. It's been part of my family really growing. I got to get my parents really just created this curiosity about the world and this disposition to see difference as beauty, and try everything and experience as much as I can. And I think that the cannabis trail came into play because of that. It's that life experience. Because when I started digging into the cannabis, I started learning about the movement, and that was a human rights movement. And you see it kind of told through that cannabis lens, but it was really interesting when you started seeing all the different communities and how the plant connected them and what it represented, all these values that are really, really good things for the world at the end of the day. And also opens up the stories around compassion in relationship to legacy cultivators versus urban communities versus the queer community versus, like Marie Mills is on the cannabis trail, and she's a hemp pioneer who had the first hemp store in the U.S. up in Humboldt, right? Now,
Right.
So it's about honoring the plant. When I zoom out with the trail, it has about 25 cultural landmarks. Each landmark has a QR code and tells a specific story about the cultural heritage of how hemp and cannabis has been part of California's history, right? So yeah, it's meant to be accessible. We have interactive storytelling. And when I was thinking of how do we start building from here, the first thing that always kept coming up for me was cultural heritage. Let's start enshrining the stories that represent the movement. And it's this movement that represents human rights and all these really beautiful kind of like morals and stories. So when you visit each stop, my hope is that when people are done traveling the trail, they've spent 2 weeks doing it, they'll see the fabric of all these stories and how they interconnect, which led to legalization in 1996 in California with Dennis Peron and compassionate cannabis. And staying anchored in those stories and making that part of cannabis today, I think that's the next step, is how do we make sure that there's a nation that's branded the cannabis trail. And we built it for frontline staff, bud tenders, lounge. Anyone in the cannabis industry should go through this training. It takes like an hour. But you have such a deep reverence and because of the story that you're now a part of.
Right.
And that's something that's lacking as it gets more transactional, and you see this colliding of cultures happening from the traditional movement to people that have a different value set, right? So how do we keep growing it and doing it the right way? My hope is the cannabis trail will be long-standing after I'm done and gone, and it will be serving the purpose of amplifying the values that are presented along the trail.
Yeah, it's a beautiful project because we all went and did a little traveling last year,
Yes,
and
we did.
It was so much fun.
That was so fun.
And
Yeah.
hearing people's stories and connecting with people
Yeah.
was really wonderful.
It's moving.
Yeah, it is totally
Yep.
moving. And it's, even if you don't consume, and that's, I think, one of the biggest things. If cannabis doesn't work for you, that's okay. There are still so many things to experience, alongside somebody who does enjoy it.
Yeah.
And, and when I had Rick Steves on not too long ago speaking about cannabis and travel.
Yeah.
He is talking about just like traveling the world and how it opened his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives people a greater understanding and compassion for other people.
Yep.
But in his travels, that's also how he used cannabis for the first time, and talking about, that compassion, the universality
Yeah.
of the human condition, and then personal freedoms, like he likes to say.
Yeah, his liberties. He was a fascinating interview that I really enjoyed that one.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was incredible.
I loved it when he said it was his personal right, a personal freedom to smoke a joint and stare into his fireplace for 3 hours, and that for him, high as a place.
Yeah, exactly. And he really beat that drum on civil liberties.
Yeah.
Which is like, it reminds me of pioneers who have had a profound role in my journey, like Pebbles Trippett.
Yeah.
And constitutional rights. And so I think I love that soul of so I hope that gets maintained as long as possible, and hopefully forever, where we don't lose sight of that. This really started as a movement with a lot of purpose behind it, that this plant symbolizes.
Yeah. Well, I think with people like you in it, that it makes it really hard for it to go away.
We try, don't we?
We do.
We have a handful of us that are keeping the stories going.
We find each other.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and we have the heart and the drive to make it happen.
Yeah.
And thinking about that, what are some things that you're excited about?
Yeah, so I'm excited about the next 10 years. I feel like we're hitting an era that's going to be the dawn of the new cannabis experience economy, the California way. I think California is definitely leading it. If you go to West Hollywood today, you'll see the lounges there. It's just, it's
they're gorgeous.
Exactly. And they have food integrated. They have koi fish. They have parrots. They have programming. They have beautiful. West Hollywood has really done a good job shining a spotlight on what's possible. I think you're going to see people continue to learn from them. And I think the history books will say that West Hollywood set a new bar. We just saw our first restaurant, cafe, cannabis open in the Coachella Valley. So it's cool to see it start popping up other places with sophistication like West Hollywood has done. I'm really excited about the cannabis trail is going to be maturing. I've been building that since 2015. And I'm really excited about this next era because I'm seeing a convergence and the travel industry of California really celebrating this as a new piece of tourism infrastructure for the state. And it lives as a third pillar alongside the Marin Cheese Trail and the Napa Wine Road. And it rounds out that Northern California experience. I'm very excited about the incoming cannabis appellations of California there's been great people doing work on that for years, including Origins Council and Janine Coleman and Richard Mendelson and the CDFA in general, making space for it. So I'm hoping we start seeing our first cannabis farms awarded that, appellation of origin recognition, because that's going to, again, that's tourism development. That's economic development at the end of the day. That's a wine AVA. It's akin to a wine AVA. And what is that in tourism? That's placemaking. That's reminding the world that cannabis has a Mediterranean climate with all these microclimates that grow great cannabis. And by the way, grapes and apples and everything else that we grow as an agricultural state. So I think the appellation is going to be a big win. I'm also just seeing the natural maturity of the travel industry at the state, national, and international level, like really sinking their teeth in deeper to this as these younger generations' consumer preferences shift, including the visitor economy, where they're not looking for alcohol, they're looking for, healthier options, cannabis being one of those, whether it's a CBD beverage or microdose THC or something else. Yeah. So I do feel like the next 10 years, it's going to be a really, really interesting stretch of innovation. My hope is that the cannabis industry and hemp industry both, we keep triangulating around the truth, which is that cannabis tourism is a travel trend grounded in wellness and well-being, with 1 foot in medical travel, 1 foot in leisure. And that really important part of that travel vertical is the well-being part, the space for spiritual health, and teaching people, taking the mindset and setting concept and reimagining that into mindset and setting, and making it extraordinarily relatable with low dose options so people can improve their quality of life through these now mainstream in THC rich products, these micro and theogenic kind of like altered states that can help you gain perspective and improve your way of being.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And for people who want to follow you on social media and learn more about the cannabis trail and about cannabis tourism, how do they do that?
Yeah. So I'm only really active on LinkedIn, honestly. So LinkedIn's the best. I do have an Instagram, but you'll see pictures of my dog and my partner, and like it will be mixed in with some other stuff. But
I love that.
Yeah. So LinkedIn is like the best. You can go to brianapplegarth.com. You can contact me through there and see some case studies and some of my work. And I just really appreciate what you're doing. And thank you for, uplifting really important conversations. And thank you for inviting me on today.
Oh, absolutely. You're not only a dear friend, but I respect you as a colleague. And together, we're just all going to do some amazing stuff. It's about the love and the heart. And, business will continue. But we need to make sure that we remember where we came from. So thank you. You're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And everyone, remember, if you like listening, please give us a review, share it with a friend. Let us know what your favorite episodes are. And if you'd like to stay in touch over social media, we are Planted with Sara Payan on Facebook and Planted with Sara on Instagram and Twitter. You can also go to our website, www.plantedwithsara.com, or listen to us on our parent network, Radio Misfits Network, where there are other great podcasts like one of my favorites, the Winemakers Podcast. So check it out. You can listen to Planted wherever wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, whether that's Pandora, Spotify, Amazon, Google, Apple, Stitcher. Tune in. We are there. So join us. And until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, it's a wild world out there. Be good to one another. Until next time, take care.